Empire.
Welcome to Inside the Cap. I'm your host, Joel Corey. You can find me on Twitter at CoreyJoel, CorryJoel. And also you can read my regular CBSSports.com column, Agent's Take, on NFL contract and salary cap matters. This week we're going to look at the contract unhappiness coming from Seattle and also look at the rift with the Saints and Mike Thomas. Seattle Times reported late last week some little more specificity in a contract offer than we're used to with Jamal Adams. Came out that Seattle had made what is called their final offer, where they're not budging. That's a 4-year extension averaging $17.5 million per year, roughly $38 million guaranteed, and Adams' representatives want additional $2 million in guarantees, and it was reported as wanted some bonus money moved into the first 3 years of the deal instead of 4. I'm not exactly sure what that last part means, but in my opinion, Jamal Adams has already won the deal, getting Seattle to go to $17.5 million per year. I know he says he is a playmaker and a defensive weapon, but outside of being a true pure pass rusher, you're constrained by your position when it comes to pay. Highest paid safety right now, Justin Simmons, $15.25 million per year. If he could have gotten a 5-6% increase, that would have been where a lot of people thought the deal would have come in. That would put him in the low 16 millions per year. So getting to $17.5 million per year, that is a clear win for Jamal Adams, provided the deal's not extremely backloaded like that Travis Kelce deal signed last year. Now, the moral of the story is, and we've seen this time and time again, first starting from Amari Cooper, then with Laramie Tunsil, also with Jalen Ramsey, and to a degree with DeAndre Hopkins. If you give up significant draft capital and you don't get a deal done at the time of the trade, it's going to end up costing you an arm and a leg of your team. And that's what the Seahawks did here. Gave up 2 first-round picks, a 3rd-round pick, and a safety, Bradley McDougald, to get Adams and a 22 second-round pick. So get a deal done at the time of the trade, because that's where you give the player leverage, that you almost have to sign him. Now, it's coming out that Seattle says that they're comfortable if Adams doesn't take this offer of going year to year for franchise tag, and he's currently holding in, isn't practicing. That's something that, at least from a Seattle perspective, Bobby Wagner started 2 years ago, all during the offseason, held in, was there, not participating, and then first couple of days of training camp before his deal got done at $18 million per year. So it would be interesting to see if this thing can't get done. Is Adams going to start missing regular season games? Would they fine him for conduct detrimental, suspend him, what the deal would be? Because not having a contract and then missing regular season games would be unprecedented. Well, he is under contract for the 5th-year option for $9.86 million, but not getting a new deal done, and once you're already there, then refusing to play, that would be a little unprecedented. Now, we're talking this franchise tag thing. I really don't see it getting that far that cooler heads will prevail. They'll probably get a deal done. But for sake of argument, I'm projecting next year's franchise tag for safety, if the cap is at the salary cap ceiling of $208.2 million, to be 6.241% of the cap. That would make the number $12.993 $2.3 million. So if you extrapolate that out and you had to go year to year again, so you're talking, that's 2022. 2023, that'd be $15,591,600. So 2-year total would be basically 28.5, a little over 28.5 for the 2 years. So I don't really see that happening. Now, how we've gotten to $17.5 million, which is a little bit of a surprise to me, is we saw the off-ball linebacker market move. First, Fred Warner to $19 million, and then Darius Leonard to $19.7 million. Since Adams is a box safety who can rush the passer better than any defensive back in NFL history, evidenced by his 9.5 sacks in 12 games last year, then I probably would have been looking at, okay, hybrid. I'm not a safety, but I'm not a linebacker. Pay me in between those two guys. And coincidentally, if you take the 19.7 that Leonard's extension averages and the $15.25 million that the Simmons deal averages, you get to $17.475 million per year. I don't know if that came into play, but that's how I would look at it. Now, biggest problem is structure. Structure is everything in an NFL contract. Just because the contracts aren't guaranteed. So what we know about Seattle is they don't guarantee the second year at signing. Most teams do. Vikings don't. Then you have teams like the Bengals, Packers, and Steelers. Only guaranteed money is signing bonus for veteran contracts. Limited exceptions like Green Bay makes one for Aaron Rodgers. So that could be a sticking point, and you're not going to reinvent the wheel structurally. Russell Wilson didn't have the second year of his contract guaranteed at signing. Neither does Bobby Wagner. So I think that's a non-starter if that's a little bit of the holdup. And if you look at what Seattle's done most recently, if you go back to Wagner, he had $24.5 million fully guaranteed at signing. And then Tyler Lockett signed a 4-year extension during the offseason for $17.3 million per year average. He's got $21 million fully guaranteed at signing and $37 million overall guarantees. So that's probably going to give a little bit of a reference point for how Seattle's going to see what the amount fully guaranteed at signing would be. One thing we don't know is which actual contract structure they would use. They don't give big signing bonuses for the most part. Lockett has the second biggest signing bonus on the team. His was $19 million. They had to make that concession with Russell Wilson at the time, gave him the largest signing bonus in NFL history. But that's so the second year wouldn't be fully guaranteed at signing. And I think that Lockett deal can be a pretty good indication of what the structure could look like, at least how the cash flow would work on a 4-year deal, since that one was just done and the average is right about the same, the 17.5 versus the 17.3. So that's probably a pretty good barometer for what Seattle is looking to do. They should be able to do that. If they haven't gotten to that point, and because we don't know the exact structure, they should. Seattle's a team which has liked to put per game roster bonuses in their contracts. Russell Wilson doesn't have them. By per game roster bonuses, I mean you get X amount of money for being on the game day active roster, on the 48-man roster. Not the 53, but you have to be dressed for the game. Lockett has them in the latter years of his extension. He's got roster bonuses of $1.7 million in 2024 and 2025. That's $100,000 per game active. So let's say Tyler Lockett in 2024 has a season-ending injury in the preseason. That's $1.7 million he's out. Considering Jamal Adams hasn't played all 16 games since his first 2 years in the NFL, missed 4 games last year, had off-season surgery, I got to imagine that Seattle wants similar type per-game roster bonuses in Adams' contract. So that might be another sticking point as well. Bobby Wagner got a compromise on the per game roster bonuses. His first extension in 2015 had the 53-man per 46. It was back then. It was 46-man per game roster bonuses. He made a point of not getting the 46-man per game roster bonuses in the deal he did 2 years ago, but he does have 53-man per game roster bonuses, which gives you a little more protection. And he's got them of small amounts. He's got them at 250 per year. When in the final year of the deal he signed, the first deal he signed, the big extension in 2019, he had $1 million of 46-man per game roster bonuses. Got those dropped down to 250. It means you have to be on the 53-man roster in the roster bonuses in his current contract. So basically, you could be in street clothes. As long as you're not on IR, you're going to get the money. Whereas under Lockett's, you're in street clothes, you're on a reserve list, you're not getting the money. So better protection for Bobby Wagner in that interest, in that specific instance. There are two safeties who, to me, knowing that Jamal Adams is probably going to dramatically impact the safety market, should not have been in a rush to do a deal. And Tyrann Mathieu is one of those guys. He's been all over the place in terms of about his extension. At one point, during the offseason, he was pessimistic about an extension. Then he expressed optimism about an extension. And then recently he said he was at peace with whatever happens. Kansas City, if they want to ensure he is back in 2022, they've got to get a deal done with him. He's 29, but he's been a Pro Bowl caliber, all-pro caliber safety. In the 2 years he got there, his current deal average is $14 million per year. He's got the largest cap number for safety this year at $19,733,334. So if you wanted to franchise him, it would be the number by the formula or 120% of your prior year's salary. So his cap number is so high, it's going to be the 120% provisions which would apply to him. And when you do the 120% calculations the way that it works for franchise tag purposes, his franchise tag number next year is going to be $23.63 million. So that's out of the question. He's not getting franchised in 2022 for $23.63 million. Last deal tied him for the highest paid safety at $14 million. If this Adams deal gets done at 17.5, Matthew's not going to be the highest paid safety, because from going from 17.5 going to 17.5 from 15.25 million, that's basically a 15% jump in the marketplace, slightly under 15%. So it would be somewhere between Simmons and Adams. The thing is, I'd be slow playing these negotiations because I'd want that deal in the marketplace first. I used to find that I could say the market's heading here and wanted to factor that into negotiations when I was an agent. That would get discounted or dismissed from a team negotiator until that deal was in the marketplace. Even though I knew a deal would come in strong, they weren't willing to acknowledge that. Now, some teams would try to get ahead of the curve and get a deal done before something got to the marketplace, but he has no incentive to get a deal done. So maybe it's 16.5. I expect it to be above 16. Maybe it gets to 17, but he'll be the second highest paid safety if they get a deal done. Then the other guy is Jesse Bates, who is in the final year of his rookie contract. He wants to stay with the Bengals. He's 24 years old. He expressed some frustration last week that he hadn't done enough to be considered one of the top safeties in the league, and said he wasn't going to talk about his contract anymore after that. Now, if I'm Cincinnati, I've been trying to be proactive about this deal, knowing safety market is going to move. I'd want to get him done. I would try to get him done right after Simmons was done back in March. I'd have made that a priority. Bengals like to keep their core players around. They're not big players in free agency. I doubt Bates would get to the open market. They'd stick a franchise tag on him. As I said before, they don't do conventional guarantees, but patience is going to be Bates' best friend. So if he lets Adams go first, then Matthew gets done. That's 2 more data points in the marketplace that support him getting above Simmons. And if Cincinnati's not willing to do that, I'd play that thing out if I'm him. Franchise tag. And if I go out and have another very good year, then you've got more ammunition. So we'll see, one, if we can close the gap with Jamal Adams, get that thing done, and then if we get Matthew or Bates done as well prior to the start of the regular season. Seattle's other hold-in is left tackle Dwayne Brown. He is going to be 36 at the end of August. He wants a new contract as well. 2021 is his contract year. He's got a $13.35 million cap number. He's scheduled to make $11 million total. $10 million in base salary and $1 million in per game roster bonuses, and there's $500,000 incentives for playtime and Pro Bowl. Understand why Seattle would have some hesitancy about wanting to do a contract extension for Brown, just because of the age. Isn't showing signs of slowing down. This is a guy that has a history of taking things to extremes when he's on half of his contract. That's how he got to Seattle to begin with. In 2017, Brown was a Houston Texan, held out into the regular season, returned after 6 weeks, missed 6 weeks of the regular season, came back, played a game, then was traded to Seattle back in 2017. Russell Wilson is championing his cause. Wilson came out, and one of the rare instances where he says something, where he takes a position, besides his typical "Go Seahawks" stuff, where this guy has mastered the art of talking and saying nothing. But he said, we need Brown, need to figure this stuff out. And that could have bigger implications, just because through his agent early in the offseason, Russell Wilson expressed his displeasure with Seattle and their ability to have a better offensive line, and wasn't happy with some of the moves early in the offseason, which prompted a lot of speculation. Would Russell Wilson be traded? Now, it seems like he and Pete Carroll have mended fences in the front office, but if this Dwayne Brown thing goes south, does that reopen the wound for Russell Wilson? And he's going to be on that track to try to get out of Seattle, like Aaron Rodgers wants out of Green Bay and Deshaun Watson wants out of Houston. Now, the only 2 current, or recent, I should say, precedents you might have in terms of what you pay an older tackle if Seattle is inclined to address Brown's contract is, one, Andrew Whitworth. Andrew Whitworth was going to be 36 for the season in 2017, towards the end of it, when he signed with the Rams. Signed a 3-year extension averaging $11.25 million per year. Deal maxed out at $36 million over the 3 years. And Whitworth is still playing and still going strong. So Whitworth is going into year 5 with the Rams, and he's going to turn 40 towards the end of this season. So that'd be your kind of blueprint, so to speak, if that's what you were inclined to do. Then there was Joe Staley in 2019, in the season where he was turning 35, 2-year extension with the 49ers, averaging $14 million per year. He retired, so he never played any of the extension years, and retired in 2020. One thing you could look at is, if you're going to do a deal, where did Whitworth rank at the end of the 2017 season in the offensive line salary hierarchy? Well, he was the 11th highest paid offensive tackle by average yearly salary, 13th highest paid O-lineman. Now, if you were to plug that into 2021 standards, considering how much the offensive line market, mainly the tackle market, has jumped to where you have Trent Williams averaging $23.01 million per year, and Dave Bakhtiari at 23, and Laramie Tunsil at 22. Then those respective places, 13th highest paid offensive lineman on a long-term deal, so I'm discounting Brandon Scherf playing for the Washington football team on a franchise tag, just long-term deals, would be Donovan Smith at $15.5 million per year. If you want to go 11th highest paid offensive tackle, Taylor Lewan at $16 million per year. Would you really want to pay Dwayne Brown in that neighborhood? I don't know, because given his age, but that's the relative comparable point in the marketplace to where Whitworth was. Thing is, if he plays out his contract, would you want to franchise him? Because I project that number to be 7.988% of the cap for 2022, which at $208.2 million, that salary cap ceiling, that's $16.631 million. I don't know if I don't want to do that either. Now, Russell Wilson has also said he's willing to restructure his contract to help mainly get Brown done, but that would apply to Adams as well. That doesn't need to happen for either one of these guys, because if Seattle's inclined to, you can create your own cap room with these deals. Because Adams, $9.86 million fifth-year option. Let's say you decided in the Adams deal you were going to chop his base salary down to $1.06 million. Hypothetically, let's say you gave him a record signing bonus for safety, which $25 million. You'd still create $3.8 million of cap room that way on the 4-year extension, because you prorate the signing bonus over five years. Same thing would apply for Brown. $10 million base salary, league minimum is $1.075 million. Let's say you chop that down to $2, and we'll say for these purposes you gave him a 4-year extension. Keep the cap number the same, you could go up to a $40 million signing bonus. They'd never do that. So you should be able to create cap room out of Brown if you decide to do him. Nice gesture by Russell Wilson, but not necessarily something that Seattle would need to do. Plus, Seattle isn't a team which is big on restructuring contracts. They did it in 2017 on 2 occasions. When they acquired Sheldon Richardson, Doug Baldwin created cap room, and then Russell Wilson for the to accommodate Dwayne Brown in the trade. So, just not something Seattle does. Not New Orleans Saints, who kick the can down the road on every contract and aggressively manage the cap. Speaking of New Orleans, we've had some news last week of Mike Thomas. As we know, Mike Thomas, ankle injury last year, lost season for him, got suspended 1 game for conduct detrimental. It turned out that his ankle was treated conservatively during the offseason, and according to reports, and remember, there are 3 sides to every story, one side from the 2 sides, and then the truth, which is somewhere in the middle, came out that he was reportedly ignoring calls from the team to get progress on the ankle that was treated conservatively. Then when he shows up for the minicamp, it's not where it needs to be, so he has to have surgery, and he's going to miss the first part of the regular season. He tweeted that they tried to damage your reputation. You saved theirs by telling your side of the story last week. I don't know why I just didn't tell a side of the story, but that's anyway. He and head coach Sean Payton had a meeting to clear the air. Seems like maybe they're on the road to mending fences. I've never thought Mike Thomas would be traded this year anyway. Regardless, one, you would be trading him at a low point, coming off the injury-plagued year, or not even getting to the cap ramifications. You wouldn't get adequate compensation for the guy, or maximum compensation. It'd have to probably be some sort of conditional pick if you want to get maximum compensation. And what I use as a guy under contract, Pro Bowl caliber all-pro receiver. When the Giants trade Odell Beckham Jr., basically first-round pick, third-round pick, Jabril Peppers. I don't think anybody's going to give that up right now for Mike Thomas if the Saints wanted to trade him. So that issue, compensation, would be the first hurdle. Then the cap issue. And that's because the Saints had to restructure every contract known to man just to get under the cap and shed $110 million of cap commitments. So one of them they did was Michael Thomas. Back in March, before the new league year started on St. Patrick's Day, they took $11.6 million of his $12.6 million base salary, converted it to signing bonus so that they could stretch that through the 2024 season. So you don't make a salary conversion like that, then look to trade someone. Be easy easy for any team to acquire him in a trade circumstance, just because you only need $1 million of cap space for this year for Thomas, because the way it works, you just have to be able to fit the guy's existing remaining salary under the cap. So you probably wouldn't have a shortage of teams looking to kick the tires for Mike Thomas because of that. But why would the Saints do that when he's got a cap number 10-1 now? They'd have 8-9 of dead money. I'm assuming he didn't earn the $200,000 workout bonus. And then he's got a $24.7 million cap hit in 2022 and $22.7 million of dead money. So it really doesn't benefit them all that much from a cap standpoint if you look at how it would work out for the Saints from a trade standpoint. So I've never thought that Mike Thomas would be someone who would get traded this year. Maybe that sets the stage for a trade next year if things continue to go south or they can't get on the same page. Also, they need him because of Drew Brees retiring. Your number 2 receiver, Emmanuel Sanders, is in Buffalo because you had to release him. And you're going to be in a difficult cap situation next year because you already have $223 million of salary cap commitments next year, 49 players under contract. So trading Thomas doesn't really benefit you from a cap standpoint because you're only going to get $2 million of room. You'd be better off, given your cap situation, if he can bounce back to his previous form. I'm not saying he's going to be the 2019 Mike Thomas when he set a single-season record for 149 receptions and had 1,725 receiving yards. But given your cap situation, he's got a $15.35 million base salary. You may want to convert that and kick the can down the road again next year. So Mike Thomas, I doubt he gets traded, probably a non-starter, at least in my eyes. And then we'll go back to the main part of the podcast. Jamal Adams, I expect that deal to get done. It'd be a surprise if they can't figure out a way to bridge differences between now and the start of the regular season. Seattle's regular season starts on September 12th. Dwayne Brown, different story. We'll see. Not in Seattle's plans right now to extend the soon-to-be 36-year-old left tackle. Then the ball's in his court, whether he extends the hold into the regular season or plays, and how that affects Russell Wilson's attitude and feelings towards the Seahawks. Anyway, that's this week's Inside the Cap. Don't forget you can find me on Twitter. That's Corey Joel, CorryJoel, and also read my regular CBSSports.com column, Agent's Take. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you back here next time.